Okay, am I live now? I think I might be live. I don't know. This is so embarrassing. Sorry. I tried a few, test runs, several test runs. Let me double check and let me see. Yep, there I am. I think that's me. I think I'm live. All right. This is different. I have not done this before, and the house is full of people, so there's a huge, I think, delay right now. Everyone's like watching movies and stuff. We have guests in from out of town and a lot of people, so I will go ahead and get started. I think it's working. I put the chat, just because I was afraid of getting bombed with the chat. If people were like just using bots and things with the chat to just clog it up. So I put a delay on the chat. I'm gonna just double check again because I think I'm live, but it's hard to tell. Let me see if I am, because I've never done this. I've practiced, but I've never. Let's see. This is. Yeah, I guess I am. All right. Well, if I'm not, then, I'll just have to do it at a different time and try it over another day. So is anyone able to put anything into the chat? I'll try something. Test it. I haven't been able to do that yet. Didn't go. There's like a 1 minute delay just because. I wish I could tell for sure. I guess it is live. This is so crazy. I've not done this before. Like you go to your channel and it's like, it looks like it's live. All right. Let me see. I'm going to turn the volume up. It'll probably echo. 1 minute delay just because. Okay, yeah. I guess it is live. All right, so enough of that. I'm sorry. There's probably no one watching anyway, so it doesn't matter. They'll replay it later. So I wanted to just, get started, and I have a little disclaimer, right, that I wanted to just throw up there, and that is that I'm here on my own, of my own craziness. And it has nothing to do with my, my day job or where I work. So these things that I talk about or anything, opinions that I give, they're just mine, and they have nothing to do with the company that I work for. So I just wanted to put that out there. So before we start the job stuff, I would like to just take a minute to sort of reflect on why we're here. I'm here because I want to create a community that is hopefully helpful to people who are, unemployed, unhappily employed. Maybe, they're just really miserable, or, people that have gotten laid off, people who have just graduated. My daughter just graduated from middle school, and I was reminded of, the resiliency of those kids. I mean, they basically started middle school from their bedroom. During the pandemic. And, the principal's message to the graduating class, I thought was, incredibly inspiring. And I wanted to just share, I talked to her a little bit afterward about her message and how helpful I thought it was. And I'd like to just share a couple sentences because I think it sets the tone for what I'm trying to, sort of the kind of headspace that I'm trying to be in here. So it's just a couple sentences, and I'll just sort of paraphrase what she said. Always celebrate exactly who you are. You are perfectly you, and you are enough. The world may try to shape you and mold you into something you are not. Surround yourself with people who will fuel your dreams, not deflate your imagination. Think about the mentors who inspired you. On this journey called life, you will meet people who will root for your failure. Prove them wrong. Protect your spirit. Save your energy for who and what truly motivates you. Your focus now is not on what just ended, but what is about to begin. So, that's, I think, sums up. I do have somebody in the chat, but I can't really see. I don't know what is wrong with this chat. Let me see if I can expand the window. Oh, so sweet. Okay, so I am live. Oh, White Cyberduck, you are just the best CTF partner, the best, just one of the best people out there, just in this community. Thank you for everything you do. So I love CTFs. It's a little bit about me. A brief intro about me. We all have a story, and then we'll get into it. We all have a story, and each of us, I think, that's what makes us unique. So maybe your parents were not born here, but you were, or maybe you weren't born here. My background is a very religious background, and so I was raised way out in the country. And one thing you might not know about me is between the ages of like 8 and 11, something like that, or 7 and 11, there were about 3 to 3.5 years, something like that, around those ages where we did not have enough food to eat. And so I had an aunt who had a good job. She was a nurse, and she lived like 45 minutes away. And every Saturday she would bring us things like, grocery, like eggs and like bread and butter and cheese and things like that. And then when I could work, as soon as I could work, I did. And I worked 3 to 11 at the McDonald's drive-thru. That's 3 in the afternoon till 11 at night. Then I had like an hour in between, and I had to get to my next gig, which was 12 midnight to 8 a.m. And that was, helping older people in their homes, like a nurse's aide type thing. And they needed to get up sometimes during the middle of the night, but they weren't steady on their feet, or, I had to make sure that they were safe, they had enough light, whatever they needed. So, there was a period of time where in my life when, it looked pretty ominous out there. And, all I really wanted was one job that would afford me enough income so that I didn't have to work 2 full-time jobs. And I did not want to have to work weekends. And so that's a little bit about my story. And each of us has one. And I look forward to trying to get to know, a little bit about each of you, as we go along here. And so what I'd like to share with you to start with, a long time ago in my career, I sent out a meeting invite, and it did not have an agenda. And I kind of learned the hard way because I think someone, probably my manager, was quite upset about the fact that I had sent out an invite to a meeting, but there was no agenda. And, I've learned over the years, 90% of people do that, right? 99% of people do that. But I've learned through reading and books and things about like best business practices, it really is a good idea to include an agenda. So I thought about sending one out for this. I have a light idea of what I'd like to cover in the, few minutes that we'll be on here together. But that could change as well, depending on how it goes and if people join and they have other, questions or things like that. One of the ideas I had about this was that people could have like a back and forth with the chat and ask questions, and I could guide them along with their resumes and things like that. So we'll get to it in a minute. A couple tips, if you're looking to get into, the space or helping to find, a job in the space is, so there are a few companies that you should know about. So, I get nothing, I don't get kickbacks or anything from saying this. I just have been in the industry a while, and I've found some really helpful companies. So Black Hills Information Security, and how you can benefit from this is, for example, they do like a weekly or every 10 days or so, they'll do like a newscast, what's happening in the space, right? And it's fun and it's light, and it's very informative. And twice weekly, they'll do a webcast, like every Wednesday and Thursday, I think, or Tuesday and Wednesday. I rarely miss them. Sometimes I'm in meetings and, but look, check out their, they have Discord, they have, all kinds of things going on there. And those webcasts are very informative. They also run a company called Antisyphon. And if you are, trying to learn how to upskill, believe it or not, they offer training, pay what you can. So, I recently took a class with one of their employees who was the first SANS instructor I ever had many, many years ago. And I paid thousands for that class years ago. And, great training. But now here he is working for a different company, and, you pay what you can. And it's just an amazing lineup of instructors, and it's just a wonderful resource that they have. They also have a company, Active Countermeasures. Something you should know is about every 2 months, they give a free 6-hour class. In fact, that same instructor that I was mentioning gives a 6-hour class for free on network hunting. And I think they've had it 14 times now, and I believe it or not, I've taken it 14 times. I'm not going to miss a free opportunity from someone that I once paid thousands of dollars to learn from. It's worth every penny. The other company is TCM Security. Every Tuesday, they hired someone not that long ago. His name is Alex Olsen, and he does a live Q&A every Tuesday. He'll start out at 12 noon Eastern. He'll start out with, a Q&A, like a lot of questions about how to get hired in cyber and what skills do I need, that kind of thing. And then he will also walk through some sort of like either hack the box or try hack me or port swigger lab. He'll run through that, and I try to catch that. Again, it's during the workday, so if I'm busy in meetings or whatever, I'll restream it. But I never miss those. I never miss. I try to never miss anything from Black Hills, anything from TCM Security, and then SANS. I love SANS, and I'm fortunate that I can take SANS courses. If I request and get approved, if you're fortunate to have a company that will pay for that, they're quite expensive, but the training is really great. But they offer free summits. So they started doing this, I think, during the pandemic, but they've ramped it up. So like every couple months, they'll have a free summit. They just had a ransomware summit on Friday, and it's like that was a 1 day. I think when they had it a year ago, it was 2 days, but a lot of the summits are 2 days, and they're free. It's all free. And if I'm in meetings, I can't pay attention, but you can always restream it later. And if I'm working and I can listen in the background, I do. I try to use my time and get, I'm trying to always learn. So, as I mentioned, I created a little bit of a framework for us to use. It's loosely based on, so another person you should know about in the industry is Alyssa Miller. Alyssa Miller, around Christmas time, I think last year, or Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate around, or even the Jewish holidays in December of last year, I believe, started this 28-day Get Hired in Cybersecurity challenge, and they have a book as well. And so, again, I wasn't, if you saw my intro video, right, I like keeping up with the field. So I wasn't in the market for a job, but it was incredibly insightful because guess what? You never know, right? There's a lot of layoffs right now. And so I watched every single one of those. I get up, I go out running in the morning, and it's always something, it keeps me, entertained when I'm out and about, and I always make a time to catch up on my favorite streams. But so what I'd like to start with today is just loosely based on one of the streams from that series, and so I will share that with you. This is something else that I would like to cover with you is resumes. So there we go. So Get Hired in Cybersecurity, 28-day challenge. So when I started typing all of the different, types of roles that you can have in cybersecurity, I was like, oh my gosh, this is endless. I'm going to run out of letters, right? So when you think about it, one of the pieces of advice that Alyssa gave was, you have to think about, what you want to do in this field, right? The possibilities are endless. So, SOC is often seen as entry level. I know that I've worked for companies that, have huge security operations centers, and some of them have been like so advanced that it's like, how can this even be considered beginner level? These people are just top. But it's a great, and they're really not, but it's a great place to start for a lot of people, as well as HelpDesk. And I put that in here too. I started as HelpDesk. That's how I started. Some people, yeah, this is my opinion, right? I mean, some people don't agree with this, but, I'm just saying that I think it's a good place to get started because you get so much information. You just get, you learn so many skills. So then there's digital forensics, right? Everyone, every device under the sun is now connected. Your cars, your toaster, everything. And guess what? They tell a lot about us, right? So forensics is where I started. It's where I cut my teeth. And I always try to stay connected with that field. And I'm always doing, forensic challenges on the side and things like that. I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go through all these. Just they're endless, right? But, there's IR, there's, so think about, and there's not just cloud, there's like how many cloud providers, right? So think about all these opportunities. So, if you're out there and you're feeling like, what am I going to do? I mean, look at all these opportunities you have, right? And so, I would say, watch Alyssa's videos. I thought they were incredibly informative on how to get hired. And so that is helpful. And what else? So resumes. So another thing I wanted to share, and it's on by the way, I have this little site here, dfirlinks.blogspot.com. And if you go into InfoSec 101, you're kind of new, right? There's stuff for about leadership and stuff too. Which I would like to mention that, just because your job title doesn't have manager or supervisor doesn't mean you can't exhibit leadership skills, right? And, there's a big difference, in my opinion, between being a manager and being a leader. And you can exhibit leadership skills and be professional, no matter what your title. And in fact, I would argue that if you do that, the next time something becomes available, in your company, or if you're temping or whatever, or you're consulting, guess who might get picked, right? Because hiring people is expensive. You have to go out and you have to do all this recruiting, and it's better to just, have somebody who's vetted, who you already know, for example, if you're an intern or something like that. So InfoSec 101, this is, tons of stuff, but I wanted to point out this one thing. I came across this, I think just last week or something. I try to keep this up to date. And so you go to this link, and it's this, every Wednesday there's a workshop. I think most of this stuff is free, not all of it. But I didn't spend a ton of time. I'd never heard of this site before, but if you go here, there are a couple people who are doing some content on this site. So there's Amy, and then there was a gentleman, I think his name was Sean. Yeah, Sean Wharton. And if you sign up for a free account, you get certain things for free. And one of the things you get for free is a resume template. And so I thought, let's look at these templates, right? There's also a PenTest template, but you can get a PenTest template from TCM Security. Just go to their main website, and you can download like a template, or what a PenTest report kind of looks like. And so I would go with that one. But I did download these two resumes here. It's one file, but it's two resumes. And I am a mentee to quite a few people. Unfortunately, I can't share their resumes. But I'll go over just a few points about building a resume, and then I think we'll probably end it, because I don't want to. I'm still am I even recording? I think I am. It's Anyway, so one of the things I'd like to point out about these two resume templates, and I learned this from Alyssa Miller and those 28 days get hired. But I did know, I kind of knew this too, but I learned a little bit more about the formatting of your resume, right? So, I think try to keep it all text-based, right? I'm not sure if these boxes, are sort of what Alyssa was referring to. It was because if you have any images or anything like that in your resume, it could really, I mean, all the bots really want that are going to scan your resume, all they really want is text. So, the fancier you make it, is you might think you're going to get seen, but it didn't seem like that's what was helpful, right? So, I would say, maybe without the boxes, but just the text. I think because it's text-based, it's probably fine. They'll probably scrape it as text. But I would recommend not putting like images or anything. Using keywords, going to the job listing and reading the job listing and, using the keywords within that job listing, that are within your means if you feel like, like you've had that experience. I mean, that's the other thing that Alyssa was saying in one of the videos was, you might not be an expert in something, but sometimes people in these job descriptions are looking for unicorns. It just doesn't exist. And so, if you have some experience with some of the things they're asking, you can put down that you have experience with, right? You don't have to say that you're an expert, but you can say that you have experience in those tools and things. And so, so you can grab these 2 templates and just, one thing I was told a long time ago by someone who I thought was very helpful when I was looking for a job, and that was, your name is the most important thing, right? Your name and your information. So, make that big, like this. Make that like the biggest thing on the resume, because that's what you want people to remember. And so, as far as job sites, I will give you a few. If you don't already know, everybody sort of knows about Indeed, right? But for our industry, if you don't know about Ninja Jobs, so I believe it's still partly run or partly owned by someone who is in the business, Chris Camacho, who is just an incredible human being. He's so nice and he's so smart. He's been in the business forever. And he's in some of the small, subgroups that I'm a part of over the years, some of the chat threads and things like that I've been a part of. So this is, sort of by experts for the industry, right? So that it's not going to be like people who are completely out of touch with what we do, right? And so let's see what else. So I had a couple other bullet points that I wanted to cover. And that was, right. So LinkedIn is also, I wanted to also say LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a great place for, job postings and things like that. So I also wanted to talk about the stigma behind getting laid off. And I see there's something in the chat. You were having technical difficulties. Oh, that's my BFF. I don't even know who this person is, but they're so sweet. Again, I met them through one of the Discord servers, I think on, Black Hills, and through doing CTFs and things like that. It's funny, you have no idea who these people are, but, they could be, who knows, CEOs of companies. You just don't know, but they're just so incredibly kind. And so no worries. I think it's funny. Of course, I'll leave it up, I think, but you'll see, Pursuit of Bliss, you'll see that when I started, I was like, I don't know if I'm live. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I was kind of, so it took a while to get going. So you really didn't miss anything. So I wanted to say that, there's often a stigma around being laid off, and, I've been there more than once. And so I know the head tricks that it can play on you, and just know that, some people think, well, I was targeted. I was handpicked. Why was I laid off? I must have been handpicked. Not always the case. I hate this phrase. It's not personal, but it's business. But when you think about it from a standpoint of trying to run a company, sometimes you've overhired and I can't imagine having to do that. But I don't think it's always personal. I think sometimes it's, okay, maybe who's making the higher salaries. I don't know, but just keep that in mind when you let your head start getting negative, right? One thing I wanted to say, so there is someone who TCM Security just hired, and I think his name is Joe Hudson, and he was a recruiter for years, and he's been doing some streams for them on like LinkedIn and things. And again, I try to catch everything that company does. I try not to miss anything because they are golden. And he was saying that, having been a recruiter for many years, one of the things he was saying was, you want to work remote, get it in writing. Because, you might get a handshake, okay, no problem, but down the road, the company changes, and unless you have that in writing, and who knows, even if you do, I mean, all these things are, just who has the better lawyers, right? But try to get that in writing, because that could save you down the road, because these companies do change, their perspective on things. So the other thing that I think that Joe brought up was, no, I'm sorry, I'm conflating Joe now. The other person is Gerald Auger. He, Simply Cyber, I think. And I put the link in my DFIR blogspot. Where is it? In here. So I just put it in here. I think it might be down here. I just put it in. Yeah, it's right here. I just put it in, I think, this morning, because I just caught his stream. It was pretty recent. And he was talking about, it was very interesting. He was talking about how AI can help you get a job. And it was really smart and really well done. And the thing is, where am I now? Sorry. So he was saying, consider the whole package. And, I don't disagree, but I will say again, get these things in writing. Like if you're going for, if you got laid off and you're going for like a bit of a, not an entry level, like a higher end position, they might promise you a certain amount of bonus every year, but that could fluctuate, right? They, unless you get all this in writing, they can change that. And so, yes, consider the whole package, but that whole package could change. So I would say your base salary has got to also be pretty good. You have to be pretty happy with your base, as well as don't solely rely on the whole package, because that can change. They can change that unless you get it in writing, right? So let's see, does anyone in the chat have questions? I probably won't, let me see, sorry. I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, so yeah, so if there's not an opportunity for a lot of back and forth, and people don't have questions about their resumes or questions about jobs, then maybe I'll call it. I mean, it is 30 minutes already. Maybe I'll do another one. I was going to do them every Sunday, so we'll see if this kind of thing is helpful. And I'll try to be prepared every week with a sort of a topic or something that we can go over together. So thank you very much for joining. If you've joined live, I appreciate it, because then it gives me some banter back and forth. But then also, if you watch it and replay it, thank you for that too. So